What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Shawnee Shan Boogie here, and we are back with another One Piece video. However, on today's video, we are going to be discussing Roro Noa Zoro and why I believe Oda has been hiding him from us, both narratively and from an in-world perspective. Now, obviously, as we know, and if you don't know, please stop watching the video because I do not want to spoil anything. Obviously, as we know, Zoro has been going absolutely crazy in these last two chapters. In 1009, blocking Big Mom and Kaido's ocean sovereignty, which could be described as the strongest attack in the series. And in the following chapter, 1010, slicing Kaido across the chest and being revealed to have Conqueror's Haki. Now, as we all know, Zoro has not been one to have many fights in the post-time skip era. Zoro hasn't really been battle tested like he was pre-time skip. Pre-time skip, you know, he fought Kaku, he was near death versus Mr. One, he went up against Kuma. He had all these moments where Zoro had put his life on the line because he had to, because there were these characters who are, if not as strong as him, stronger than him. And we haven't seen that basically at all in the post-time skip era. I mean, he has had his fair share of really badass moments. Zoro, when he cut Monet in half, when he sliced Pico with his Ichidan Daisensekai. However, Zoro hasn't really been battle-tested up until now. And right now, we're seeing how strong Zoro is, and we're getting an actual measurement of what his strength is and how far he's come. And I believe that Oda's been fairly ambiguous in terms of his strength for this exact reason. He hasn't really shown us a fight with Zoro so that he could release how far Zoro's come in these recent couple chapters. He wanted to show us in kind of like an explosive way just how strong Roro Noa Zoro really was. Wano has basically been an arc that has starred Zoro as much as it starred Luffy. We saw Zoro get his own fight, basically followed Zoro throughout the land of Wano, explored the land of Wano alongside Zoro, and watch him get a strength boost / power up in the land of Wano, going on to Onigashima. Now, I believe that Oda basically wanted to unleash Zoro in this arc and show us how strong Zoro was and give us multiple examples of him getting stronger and showing us the level at which he was at prior to the arc and after the arc. Now, obviously we see Zoro take on Killer in what can be called a handicap fight on both sides, Zoro having to take on two opponents at once, Killer obviously still being a little like mind controlled, messed up from the smile fruit. But, however, Zoro does win the fight fairly easily. I mean, it still tested him, but he didn't have to, like, go all out. He didn't have to, like, really defeat him in a way that kind of sacrificed his life. He did get damaged, he did take damage, and it was a tough fight, but it could have been a lot harder, as we've seen in the past. This fight being Oda's declaration that Zoro is obviously stronger than Killer, and he's stronger than most supernovas, being that he's stronger than the first commander on one of the highest members of the Worst Generation's crew. Fast forward down the line in the arc, and Zoro actually gets a power-up or strength boost in Enma. Now, the way that I view Enma isn't really similar to that of a power boost. It wasn't like Zoro uses the sword and he automatically gets stronger. And I think Oda kind of made this clear with the way that he showed how Enma sucks the haki out of Zoro if he's not careful with it and if he doesn't use it properly. Now, I believe that obviously Oda showing this to us means that Zoro had to train and get stronger to acclimate to use Enma. He needed to strengthen his haki itself and strengthen the reserves of his haki to be able to use this weapon consistently throughout battle without it draining his haki reserves. Now, like I said, I think this is clear in this panel right here because Zoro needed to get to a point where he was strong enough to consistently use Enma. If Enma were to be used by anybody else or another swordsman, they wouldn't be able to do so because it would suck out their haki or suck out all of their strength because of what a powerful sword it is. Something I kind of compare Enma to is the Super Saiyan God power-up in the first movie, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods. When Goku gets the Super Saiyan God power-up, he obviously boosts up a crazy amount in strength. He becomes a god. And he fights throughout Beerus, he fights with Beerus throughout the movie, and ends up losing that god form and that god ki. However, throughout fighting with it and throughout using it, his body acclimated and he gained the actual strength necessary to use the power. Now, I think the sword is a little different. Obviously, it's a weapon, and I believe that it's like basically any weapon in any video game, like say RuneScape. Say you're level 45 and you have to be level 60 to use like a dragon sword. So you get yourself up to level 60 and then you can finally use it and continuously use it, and you get the attack boost and strength from the weapon. So yes, I do believe that Enma has gotten Zoro stronger, but the only reason is because he's grown enough in strength to be able to use the sword. Obviously, the time skip has served as a separator or breakup for a lot of characters and allowed them to acclimate and get stronger and basically change who they are narratively and what they can do as a character going forward. Now, Zoro is one specifically where he hasn't had more strength feats or more action, but he's actually had a lot less. As I said earlier in the video, Zoro hasn't been battle tested nearly as much as he was in the pre-time skip era. However, I believe that this is because Oda sort of, I don't want to say handicapped himself, but limited himself to what Zoro could do. He had to challenge Zoro in ways that weren't just based on strength and weren't just based on pushing himself to the limit in a battle. And I believe that this is because Oda kind of handicapped himself in the way that Zoro trained and got stronger. Zoro didn't train on an island where he faced off against a bunch of wild beasts like Luffy did. Obviously, at first he did. He fought off the monkeys. He beat all the monkeys, and he trained against them at first. But after that, he would have had to go up against Mihawk in those 2 years. I mean, how else could he have trained without basically facing off against Mihawk, sparring with him, sword fighting with him, and all that? So I think that there was only so far that Zoro could go and that Oda could reveal in these prior arcs without him basically being able to wash every single character that he fought, other than Doflamingo or Katakuri. I believe that Zoro didn't really get much of a power boost from Enma. Yes, he obviously gained strength, he gained a better sword, but I believe he's always kind of been on that level because he went up against Mihawk and he fought Mihawk for basically 2 years, sparring with him even if it wasn't a real fight. And I think that we're going to get to a point in the story where there's not much left for Zoro to learn. I think a lot of the stuff that he didn't learn from Mihawk was stuff that he kind of needed to learn on his own, basically like the Conqueror's Haki and encoding your weapons in the Conqueror's Haki. And I think Mihawk needed to let him do those things, and Oda needed to let him do those things and learn those things on his own in a way that he was battle tested. Like you can only learn those things if you're battle tested in battle, in the heat of the battle, like Old Man Hyo says in that little Luffy flashback. The only time you learn is in the heat of battle. I think Hyo actually states the true power of battle only blossoms in the midst of a battle. So I think Zoro, yes, he did acclimate, he did get stronger through Enma, but I think he was already close to a point where he was going to get there anyway. He just needed Enma. He needed a new strength boost. So I think that now the next step for him is learning how to coat his weapons in Conqueror's Haki and to gain his own Black Blade, which I believe he's going to turn Wado Ichimonji into the next Black Blade. So these are just my thoughts on how I believe Oda has handled Zoro post time skip and how I believe he'll handle him going forward, and just how I believe that Enma has affected him. Let me know what you guys think. Comment your thoughts down below in the video, and make sure to like this video and subscribe for more anime and One Piece content.